Bend over, Korean Mafia boss claims black sexy African lady after hearing her speak Italian. What happens next? The nightclub is a storm, lights flashing, perfume thick in the air, bodies pressed together in a mess of heat and rhythm. Kim Jae-woon walks through it untouched, cold in the middle of chaos, a man who belongs to shadows rather than neon. People notice him. They move aside. They lower their eyes. He is the kind of man whose silence is louder than most men's anger. But tonight, something slices through that silence. A voice. Soft, smooth. Italian, rich like honey, warm like fire. He freezes. His men nearly bump into him, shocked that their boss, who never hesitates, has suddenly stopped breathing. He turns and sees her. Amara Obianuju. Sitting at the bar in a silk wine-colored dress, her legs crossed, her posture a slow, graceful challenge. Her skin glows against the club lights, each highlight painting her like art. Her hair cascades over one shoulder, revealing the curve of her neck, the kind of detail that makes a man forget discipline. She laughs lightly at something the bartender says. Then she speaks again. Italian sliding off her tongue like satin. Jae-woon's pulse jumps. What? Art. It's absurd. He has lived half his life being impossible to shake. But one woman, one sentence, hits him like a blow to the chest. He moves toward her without thinking. Not stalking. Not hunting. Drawn. A man pulled by something too deep to explain. She senses him before he reaches her. Her head turns slightly, eyes lifting, dark, intelligent, confident. She doesn't flinch the way most people do when facing a mafia boss. She holds his gaze. Steady. Warm. Unbothered. It knocks the breath out of him. He stops a single step away, close enough to feel her perfume. Sweet, mysterious, undeniably her. Jae-woon. Say something again. His tone is low velvet, not a command. A desire. Her lips part in a slow smile, one eyebrow lifting. Amara? Perch? TPS la mia voce? What? Do you like my voice? The way she rolls her R's? He feels it along his spine. He leans in, not touching her but invading her space with a confidence that would send most women trembling. But Amara? She stays exactly as she is. Calm. Rooted. Unafraid. Her courage feeds something in him he didn't know he was starving for. Jae-woon. I didn't know a voice could touch me. She laughs soft and low. He feels it vibrate through the air between them. Amara. Touch you. A teasing tilt of her head. You look like a man who doesn't get touched at all. Something in his chest tightens. Interest, amusement, danger. He steps closer again and this time she feels the heat of him. Not threatening, just overwhelming. Made of steel and control and careful hunger. His voice drops so low only she hears it. Jae-woon. Bend over. Her breath catches, not in fear but in smoldering disbelief. She turns in her seat, giving him her full face, her full attention. Those dark eyes sharpen. She isn't offended. She's intrigued. Amara? Is that how you talk to women? Jae-woon. No. He lets his gaze travel, slow, reverent, back up to her eyes. Only to the ones who make me forget who I am. The tension tightens like a wire between them. Amara's lips curve. Amara? Then you should know something about me. She leans in too, their noses almost touching. I don't bend easily. Her breath brushes his lips. He inhales sharply. Control, his greatest strength, wobbles. His pupils darken, consuming. He whispers, Jae-woon. Then make me chase you. Her smile widens, dangerous, feminine, irresistible. And in that moment, with music pounding, with tension coiling tight, with two worlds colliding, Kim Jae-woon decides. This woman will pull him into a fire he will never walk away from. Amara leaves the bar before he can say more. Not running, not afraid, just refusing to let him have the last word. Jae-woon watches her walk away with that unhurried, confident sway of her hips. Each step is measured, elegant, disobedient. His jaw tightens. No woman has ever turned her back on him without trembling. But Amara walks like she already knows he'll follow. And she's right. He follows. Not loudly, not aggressively. Like a shadow slipping through the crowd. Drawn by a gravity he can't fight. Amara steps into the cool alley behind the club, breathing in fresh night air. The wind lifts a strand of her hair, brushing it across her lips. She's just reaching for her phone when a presence sweeps behind her. Warm, tall, silent. She doesn't jump. She closes her eyes for a brief second and exhales. Amara, you move too quietly. Jae-woon voice deep, close. You walk too beautifully to ignore. She turns slowly, eyes meeting his in the dim streetlight. He stands inches away, the night outlining the sharp lines of his jaw and the clean, disciplined power in his frame. He isn't touching her. But somehow she feels touched. Amara, You followed me. Jaewon. You didn't tell me to stop. She laughs softly and his chest tightens. Her laughter is warm, real, something he hasn't heard near him in years. Amara. You give commands like a man used to obedience. Jaewon. Not commands. He steps closer. The air thickens. She has to tilt her chin upward to hold his gaze. Jaewon. Instincts. Her breath falters, not that she lets him see it. Amara. And your instinct tells you, what? To corner me in an alley? For a moment her bravery surprises him. Not because she stands up to him, but because she does it with grace, not fear. He lifts one hand and rests it against the brick wall beside her head, not trapping her but closing the universe around them. Wind slips between them, brushing her dress against his suit. Jaewon. My instinct tells me. He pauses. He studies her face. Every detail. Every flicker in her eyes. His voice drops to a husky whisper. Jaewon. That you're dangerous for me. Her lips curl in a slow, seductive smile. Amara. You don't look like a man afraid of danger. Jaewon. I'm not. A breath. I'm afraid of wanting something I can't control. She leans her back against the wall, arms crossing lightly, not defensive but regal like a queen evaluating a king. Amara. Is that how you see me? He shakes his head. Jaewon. No. His eyes soften. I see a woman who speaks like a melody and looks like a challenge. Her brows lift, impressed despite herself. Amara. And you think challenges belong to you? Jaewon. I think you belong in my sight. Again, not a command. Not a claim. A truth he cannot stop himself from saying. She swallows. Just barely. And it is the smallest crack in her armor. He notices. He feels it. He steps closer again, close enough for the heat of him to wrap around her like a second skin. Their noses are inches apart. Her breath mingles with his. The world feels still. Jaewon. Don't walk away from me. Her lashes lower just a moment before she whispers. Amara. And if I do? His voice turns to steel wrapped in velvet. Jaewon. Then I'll follow, until you ask me not to. A dangerous softness fills the air. Amara. You don't command me. His hand, still on the wall, tightens slightly, veins rising. Jaewon. You're right. He lowers his head closer. Their foreheads nearly touch. Jaewon. I don't command you. A breath. I want you. The honesty hits her harder than any arrogance would have. She inhales, her pulse jumping in her neck. His gaze drops to it. Slowly. Hungrily. When he lifts his eyes again, they are darker. Not with lust, but with something deeper, more dangerous. Jaewon. Amara. Her name in his voice sends shivers down her spine. Jaewon. Don't make me chase you. Her smile is soft and provocative. Amara. Then you'll have to keep up. She steps past him, her shoulder brushing his chest lightly, an electric, intentional touch. He doesn't move for a moment. Doesn't breathe. Then, a quiet sigh escapes him. A defeated, enchanted one. He follows her. Not because he should, but because he has already fallen. The elevator ascends silently, carrying only two people who refuse to look away from each other. Amara stands inside with her arms folded, her chin raised, expression unreadable. Jaewon stands a few steps behind her, hands in his pockets, every line of his body sharp with control he's desperately trying to maintain. The air in the elevator is thick, humming with electricity. Every second feels like it might break him. When the doors open, night wind sweeps in, cool, crisp, carrying the ocean's scent. His private rooftop lounge stretches before them. Dim lanterns, soft amber lighting, sleek furniture, and a breathtaking view of the entire city glowing below. Amara steps out first. She doesn't gasp. She doesn't look impressed. She simply walks, her heels tapping softly against the wooden deck, and rests her hands lightly against the glass railing, looking out over Seoul with a regal calm that steals his breath. Jaewon watches her from behind. Her silhouette, the curve of her waist, the slope of her shoulders, the confident tilt of her head, ignites something he hasn't felt in years. Not lust. Something deeper. Uncomfortable. Consuming. He approaches slowly, making sure she hears his footsteps this time. He stops beside her, close enough that their arms almost touch but don't. Jaewon soft. You didn't ask where we were going. Amara. If you wanted to harm me, you wouldn't bring me somewhere this beautiful. His lips twitch, the smallest smile unseen but real. Jaewon. You think beauty means safety? Amara. No. She turns her face toward him, eyes glinting. I think beauty reveals who a man is trying to impress. Touché. He leans one elbow against the railing, his body angled toward her. Jaewon. You ask dangerous questions. Amara. And you give dangerous invitations. He studies her expression. Her calm. her strength, her refusal to flinch under his gaze. Most people crumble under even a hint of his attention. Amara absorbs it, meets it, matches it. He forces himself to breathe slowly. Jaewon. Why Italian? His voice low, intimate. Why does it sound like you live there? She sighs softly, her eyes drifting back to the skyline. Amara. Because I did. Pause. Rome. For 3 years. He notices the way her jaw tightens after she speaks, a flicker of pain quickly swallowed. He doesn't push. Instead he stands a little closer. Close enough that their shoulders brush when the wind shifts. The tiniest contact. But it hits him like a heartbeat. Jaewon. You speak it beautifully. Amara, smiling slightly. You like the sound of it? Jaewon. I like the sound of you. Her breath stutters just faintly and he catches it. She turns her head toward him again. Their faces are close. Too close. Close enough that he sees the flecks of gold in her dark irises. Close enough to smell the warmth of her skin. Amara. Are you always this direct? Jaewon. No. His voice deepens. Jaewon. Only when I'm losing control. He doesn't touch her. He doesn't dare. But his fingers curl against the railing, white-knuckled from restraint. The wind lifts a strand of her hair, brushing it across his forearm. His breath catches. Slowly, carefully he lifts a hand. Not to grab her, but to gently tuck the drifted strand behind her ear. He does it with a reverence that startles even him. Amara goes still. Her eyelashes lower, her lips part slightly, her heartbeat too loud in her own ears. But she doesn't pull away. Amara quietly. Why me, Jaewon? He inhales shakily. You should lie. Or tease. Or say something calculated and cool. But the truth rips out of him before he can stop it. Jaewon. Because when you speak. He steps closer, voice dropping into her ear. My discipline fractures. Her eyes widen, not in fear but in recognition of something dangerous growing between them. She turns fully, facing him now, body aligned with his. Their hands almost touch on the railing. Almost. Amara. And what happens when you lose control? The city glows behind them. The wind quiets. The world leans in. He lifts his head, meeting her gaze with raw honesty. Jaewon. Then I stop being a boss. He brushes one knuckle along the back of her hand, barely there, a whisper of contact that sets her skin on fire. Jaewon, softly, dangerously. And become a man who wants the woman standing in front of him. Her breath trembles. Heat pools between them. The tension is suffocating in the sweetest way. She whispers, Amara. That makes you more dangerous. His eyes soften, then darken. Jaewon. Then stay close. He tilts his head slightly. So I can learn how to be dangerous, without hurting you. Amara turns her hand palm up against the railing, an unspoken invitation. A test. Jaewon sees it, feels it, understands it. Slowly, very slowly, he places his hand over hers. Their fingers don't intertwine. Their palms don't press fully. But the contact is more intimate than a kiss. Electric, fragile, alive. Amara breathes out, and Jaewon knows, with terrifying clarity, that this woman might undo every piece of him. The rooftop is softer now. The city still glows, but the wind has calmed, and the lanterns around them burn with a warm amber light. The atmosphere shifts from tension to something quieter, something more dangerous. Vulnerability. Amara withdraws her hand first, but not abruptly. It's slow, thoughtful, as if she's afraid she might leave fingerprints on his skin. Jaewon notices. He feels the absence sharply. She walks toward a low seating area by the glass edge of the rooftop, sitting with her back straight, shoulders squared, elegant, guarded, preparing herself. He understands the posture. He wears the same armor every day. He approaches and sits opposite her, leaning forward, elbows resting loosely on his knees. For a few moments, neither speaks. The silence is not awkward. It is heavy. Full of things both of them are afraid to say out loud. Finally, Amara breaks it, her voice softer than before. Amara. I don't talk about my past. Jaewon quietly nods. Jaewon. I don't push. Not unless someone's in danger. She exhales, a sigh that sounds like it's carrying years of weight. Her eyes drift to the lights below, unfocused, seeing something far away. Amara. Then you should know, danger and I are not strangers. His eyes sharpen. He doesn't interrupt. She tilts her head back slightly, eyes closing. Amara. I was born in Nigeria. Grew up between Lagos and Rome. My mother loved Italy, enough to run there with me when everything fell apart. Jaewon listens without moving. Every word pulls him deeper. Amara. We thought we were safe. A bitter, soft laugh escapes her. Amara. But safety is an illusion when powerful men want something. His jaw clenches. He recognizes the tone. The resigned strength in it. The tone of someone who survived things she shouldn't have. Jaewon. Who was chasing you? She opens her eyes, looking straight at him. Amara. A cartel. He stills. Amara. My father made a deal with them. He broke it. They made him pay. Jaewon's hands curl into fists, slowly, silently. Amara continues. Amara. My mother and I fled to Rome. For years it was quiet. Peaceful even. I learned Italian. I worked small jobs. I lived. Her eyes dim. Amara. Then someone recognized me. And the quiet ended. Jaewon leans closer, his voice deep but careful. Jaewon. What happened? Amara. They found us. A long heavy pause. Amara. My mother didn't survive the night. The lanterns flicker. The city below blurs. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. Jaewon's breath leaves him in one silent exhale. He sits straighter, not out of discipline, out of respect. When he speaks, his voice is almost a whisper. Jaewon. I'm sorry. She nods once, sharply, like she doesn't trust herself to do more. He watches her swallow. Her throat moves with effort, but she keeps going. Amara. I escaped. Ran from city to city. Country to country. Ended up here. She looks at him again. This time vulnerable. Bear. Amara. I don't let anyone close. Because closeness gets people killed. He studies her, every line of her face, the tension in her shoulders, the pain she hides behind poise. And when he speaks, his voice is deeper than she's ever heard from him. Jaewon. You're not alone here, Amara. She scoffs softly, turning away. Amara. You say that like you know what loneliness feels like. He inhales slowly. A muscle in his jaw ticks. Then he speaks. Not as a mafia boss. Not as a man she needs to fear. But as someone who is finally ready to peel back his own armor. Jaewon. My mother was killed too. Amara turns to him instantly. A change. A shift. A piece of him he's never shared with anyone outside his inner circle. She waits. He continues, voice steady but edged with old sorrow. Jaewon. I was 15. My father was boss then. Someone wanted to hurt him, so they hurt her. He rubs a thumb over his wrist unconsciously, the memory cutting deeper than he'd like. Jaewon. After that, I learned to shut everything out. His eyes meet hers, raw and direct. Jaewon. Everyone. Everything. Until tonight. Her breath catches. Her lips part. She wasn't expecting that. Amara whispering. Why tell me this? He leans forward, slowly, deliberately. Their knees almost touch. His voice sinks lower. Jaewon. Because if I want your truth. He pauses, eyes locked on hers. I owe you mine. Her eyes soften, emotion flickering through them like a pulse. Another gust of wind sweeps between them, lifting her hair. He reaches out, slow, gentle, as if afraid she might disappear, and tucks another strand behind her ear. His fingertips brush her cheek this time. Her breath shivers. Amara. Jaewon. Jaewon soft, steady. I won't cage you. His hand lingers by her jaw, warm and reverent. Jaewon. But I won't let anyone hurt you again. Her eyes glisten, not with tears, but with something fragile and fierce. She whispers, Amara. Why do you care so much? He leans closer, his lips inches from hers, his breath warm. Not kissing. Not crossing the line. Just dangerously close. Jaewon. Because I see you. A beat. Jaewon. And because I'm tired of being alone too. Amara closes her eyes, letting the truth settle in her chest. When she opens them, Jaewon hasn't moved. He's waiting. Not demanding. Not pushing. Waiting for her choice. And for the first time in years, she doesn't feel hunted. She feels seen. And safe. The ride from the rooftop felt smaller than it should have, as if the space between them had folded inward and left only two people and a tension that hummed like thin wire. Amara's hands trembled slightly when she fished for her keys. Jaewon's eyes watched every motion. He didn't speak, he didn't need to. The car knew how to read him like everyone around him did. But tonight his attention was a tether tied to the woman beside him. She slipped inside her building and moved down the stairwell, steps steady but quick. The night was quiet enough that she could hear her own breath. Her phone buzzed in her bag, an unknown number, and she ignored it. A shadow detached itself from the darkness at the end of the street, a prowling SUV, too slow, too careful. Two men stepped from the vehicle, jackets low, faces hidden. Amara's body reacted before her mind. She turned, ready to move, and met cold eyes that knew how to hunt. Stay where you are, one of them barked. The accent was familiar, Lagos. Old nightmares, the kind she had tried to smother, rose up like smoke. Something in her spine went icy. She'd tasted fear before, This was a memory come alive. She backed away, every escape route narrowing. I don't want trouble, she said, voice steady though her heart pounded. You owe someone, the other man sneered. Time to pay. The world contracted to 3 beats. They stepped forward, she moved, and then the first blow landed, sharp, unexpected. She fought like she always fought, quick, stubborn, refusing to go down without a fight. But 2 men trained and cruel were too much. A blow pushed her against the building. Pain exploded across her ribs. She clawed at the nearest attacker and heard a shout behind her. Not from a neighbor, not from a passerby, but a sound that split the dark like an alarm. A blur of movement slammed into the attackers. Jae-woon was a force of motion and silence, closing distance with the terrible efficiency of someone used to killing in seconds. He moved like controlled fury. One wrist snapped, a boot connected, and a throat went quiet. The 2 men crumpled, stunned and broken. Amara sagged against the wall, breath ragged. Her cheek burned where her hair had been gripped. She looked up as he moved toward her, every step careful, almost reverent now that the danger had passed. Jae-woon dropped to his knees beside her without hesitation, hands steady and sure as he checked the places they'd hit her. He didn't rush because he knew when the body needed stillness. He didn't fumble because he had trained himself to be exact. Are you hurt? He asked, voice a low wire of emotion, concerned, furious, deadly calm. She tried to shrug, to play it small. Just bruised, she lied thinly. He refused the lie. His fingers found the wetness by her temple, and the look in his eyes hardened into something older and more dangerous than the men on the ground. You shouldn't have come home alone, he said, not a reproach exactly, more a raw fact. She swallowed. I thought I could handle. You handled it, he snapped, softer than she expected. Then his expression softened to a place she rarely saw in him. But you don't have to do anything alone. He rose and offered her his hand. She took it, and his grip was firm and steady, an anchor. He helped her to the car and never once let his eyes leave her. Inside the safety of his vehicle, he watched her the whole way to the safe house, not with possession but with the fierce calculation of a man who now knew exactly how fragile the thing before him was, and how much he would break to keep it intact. At the safe house he cleaned her wounds with a precise, practiced tenderness. He moved with the care of someone who understood how easily small injuries could become large tragedies. He used cool compresses, folded towels, and quiet, efficient motions. Each deliberate touch told her he was there, not as a boss with a plan, but as a man who had stepped into another man's storm and refused to leave. When he finished, he sat opposite her with a look that was almost unreadable. The adrenaline in her veins subsided, leaving a hollow of exhaustion and something else, an awareness of how thoroughly he had moved to protect her. You were careless, he said at last, the words more brittle than they should be. Maybe, she answered. Then softer, maybe I forgot I couldn't be careless anymore. He watched her and pity flickered, quickly covered with something darker. You think you can run from everything, Amara. But the past follows. She closed her eyes. I thought I could build a life without shadows. You can, he said, leaning forward, voice dropping to a private sound. But not by yourself. She opened her eyes and met him. What do you want from me, Jae-woon? Protection? A debt paid. He reached for her hand, sitting closer than the sofa normally allowed, and held it like a confession. I want you to be safe. I want you to stay. But more than that, I want you to let me be someone who stands between you and the dark. If you let me, I'll burn anything that comes for you. The heat in his words was absolute, not mere jealousy or possession, but a promise edged with violence. Amara felt an old resistance loosen. She had been running for so long it had become habit. But in the curve of his fingers, the quiet in his eyes, she sensed something she had denied herself for years, the idea of not being alone. She curled her free hand around his and said, barely audible, thank you. He exhaled, a rough sound like a blade sheathed. He did not smile. He rarely did. Instead he brushed her knuckles with his thumb, and for a second there was no boss, no city, no history, only 2 people, fragile and fierce. Outside, the men in the street stirred, coughing and moving, the threat dying where it had begun. Inside, Jae-woon stayed close until she drifted to sleep on the spare armchair, head cradled by the blanket he had placed over her. That night changed the stakes. It turned his claim into a mission and hers into a decision. The walls around Amara thinned. And Jae-woon, who had once prided himself on control above all, discovered that distraction had become devotion. Amara woke slowly. The safe house was quiet, lit only by a dim lamp flickering against pale walls. Her body protested when she shifted, bruises blooming across her ribs, a tender ache near her temple. She closed her eyes again, expecting the world to be empty. But she wasn't alone. Kim Jae-woon sat opposite her, still in his dark clothes, elbows on his knees, eyes fixed on her like he hadn't looked away all night. She blinked. Jill, you stayed? He didn't speak for a moment. His jaw worked once hard before he finally said, You were attacked. Of course I stayed. His tone wasn't sharp. It was tight, like he was holding 1,000 feelings behind his teeth. Amara tried to stand, but a sharp pain made her gasp. Jae-woon moved instantly, catching her arms, steadying her before she fell. Their faces were suddenly close. Too close. Her breath hitched. His eyes softened, just a flicker but real. Sit, he murmured. Please. She sank back into the chair. Jae-woon crouched beside her, fingertips brushing the bandage at her temple, checking it again with silent precision. Is it bad? She whispered. His voice dropped to a dark, trembling whisper. It could have been. He exhaled sharply, the control he held so tightly slipping. If I had been a minute later. He swallowed. Amara, I can't. He stopped himself, fists clenching. She watched him quietly. Why does it matter to you so much? His head lifted slowly, eyes blazing with a tenderness he hated showing. Because you're not just someone under my watch. Silence stretched, heavy and intimate. Amara felt something crack inside her chest. Jae-woon, she whispered, who were those men? His stare sharpened. You recognized them. Not their faces, she admitted softly, but their accents, their manner. They're Nigerian. From Lagos. Jae-woon sat straighter. Alert. Someone from your past? She hesitated. A long moment passed. Then, quietly, reluctantly, she nodded. Jae-woon didn't push. He simply moved closer until his knee brushed hers. Tell me. Amara looked away, breathing unevenly. There was a man, she began. A man my family owed money to. My father trusted him. He shouldn't have. Her hand shook. When my father died, the debt was passed to me. And the man, he didn't want money. He wanted me. Jae-woon stilled. He followed me for months. Threatened me. Tried to take me. Her voice faltered. I ran. I moved countries. I changed my name. I disappeared. Jae-woon's hand slowly reached out, covering hers. And yet they still found you. A shiver ran through her. She lifted her eyes to him. Are you angry? He laughed softly, but it wasn't humor. It was darkness. Violence. Fury. Angry isn't the word. His thumb brushed her knuckles. I want to burn the world that hurt you. Her breath caught. He leaned in slightly, voice dropping lower. From now on you're not walking alone. Not sleeping alone. Not taking a step without someone with you. Amara frowned. That sounds like protection, he cut in. Then softer. Not possession. Her heart hammered. He rose and paced once, then turned back to her. I'm assigning my best men to you. His eyes locked onto hers. And I'm not letting you go back to your apartment. Amara stared at him. To the safe house? She asked. He shook his head. No. A beat passed. Then more quietly. My penthouse. Her breath hitched again. Jae-woon. He stepped closer, kneeling in front of her again, gaze warm, steady, unguarded. I don't want you somewhere I can't reach in seconds. Pause. I need you where I can protect you. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Where I can see you. Her pulse fluttered. And if I say no? He looked her straight in the eyes. No threat, no force, just raw honesty. Then I'll ask again. He swallowed. And again. And again, until you stop choosing the world that hurts you over the person who would bleed for you. Amara's lips parted. He lifted her hand gently. Let me be the one who stands between you and your past. Her breath trembled. She whispered, Take me home, Jae-woon. His eyes darkened with relief, and something deeper, hungrier, softer. He helped her stand, held her steady, and for a brief moment his forehead rested against hers, a promise spoken without words. That night wasn't just rescue. It wasn't protection. It was the beginning of something impossible to undo. The drive to Jae-woon's penthouse felt unreal. Amara sat in the passenger seat, wrapped in his coat, the scent of cedar and smoke grounding her more than she wanted to admit. Her bruises ached, but not as much as the flood of emotions washing over her. Jae-woon didn't speak during the ride, but his hand stayed on the gearshift just inches from hers. Close enough that every breath she took felt borrowed from him. When they arrived, the elevator doors slid open to a space made of glass, city lights, and silence. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed Seoul like a universe burning below them. Amara stepped inside, overwhelmed. June, this is home, he finished, watching her. His voice dipped low. And tonight it's yours. A shiver ran through her. She took a step forward, touching the cool railing of the balcony, staring at the city lights. Everything felt too big, too intimate, too much. Behind her, Jae-woon removed his coat, his movements slow, deliberate, controlled in the way dangerous men were when they cared too deeply. She could feel his presence before he even came close. Amara. She turned. He stood only a few feet away, shadows sharpening the angles of his face, making him look carved out of the night itself. His eyes weren't cold, not tonight. Tonight they burned. He moved closer. You shouldn't be standing, he murmured. I'm fine, she whispered. You're trembling. No, she tried again, but her voice betrayed her. He stepped closer still, closing the distance until the air between them crackled with slow-burn gravity. His hand lifted, hesitating before he touched her cheek as if asking permission without speaking. Amara didn't move away. His palm brushed her skin, warm, steady. Her breath caught. He wasn't touching a bruise, he was touching her. He swallowed hard. You scared me tonight. She blinked. Jae-woon, scared? Why? She whispered. His thumb traced her jawline. His voice was raw silk. Because you matter. Her heart stuttered. He stepped even closer, chest nearly brushing hers. You walked into my world like it belonged to you, he whispered. And I let you. I didn't even fight it. Amara felt her chest tighten. But I'm trouble, she said softly. You saw that tonight. His jaw tightened. He leaned down slightly, lips hovering near her temple, close enough that she felt his breath. Then your trouble is mine. Her breath shook. His scent, his warmth, the depth in his eyes, it was overwhelming. Jae, what do you want from me? His eyes flickered, dark and sincere. Everything. Her knees went weak. He stepped forward instinctively, his hand slipping to her waist to keep her steady. The touch was gentle but anchoring, a quiet claim. He guided her toward the couch, helping her sit. But when he tried to pull away, she caught his wrist. Stay. His eyes softened dangerously. He sank beside her, shoulders tense as if holding back something fierce. She turned toward him. Earlier, at my apartment, she said softly, you looked terrified. He exhaled slowly. I was. Why? He looked straight into her eyes. No walls. No shadows. Just a man stripped bare for one moment in his life. Because I realized losing you is the one thing I can't survive. Her breath vanished. His hand rose again, cupping the side of her neck, thumb brushing her pulse. Steady, slow, intimate. Let me protect you, he whispered. Let me be the one you come to when the world tries to break you. A beat. And let me be someone you don't run from. Her eyes glistened. I'm not running, she whispered. His breath hitched. His forehead pressed gently against hers, their lips inches apart, sharing the same trembling air. Good, he murmured, voice low, warm, a little shaken. Because I've been holding back since the day I heard you speak Italian, and every day since has been torture. Her lips parted. He leaned in, slowly, reverently, as if giving her every chance to pull away. Jae-woon, she breathed. His hand tightened softly on her waist. Tell me to stop, he whispered. And I will. She didn't. She couldn't. Her fingers slid to the front of his shirt, curling in the fabric. Don't stop. Jae-woon inhaled sharply. Their lips met. Not fully, not completely. Just a featherlight brush that sent heat flooding through them both. A promise. A beginning. A line crossed that neither could pretend wasn't real. He pulled back after a second, breath uneven, eyes burning. Amara? She looked up, lips parted, heart shaking. What happens now? She whispered. He brought her hand to his chest, laying it over his heartbeat. His answer was low and certain, the beginning of something irreversible. Now you stay with me.